need to think like actors. So will you please welcome my son, Jeremy Apodaca, to the stage.
I don't know who he was talking about, but that guy sounds pretty cool. Okay, yes, so first, before we get started, I see that everybody's kind of dispersed. For the activities that we're going to do today, I need you to be in tables of at least 4 people, and it would be preferable if you were in even numbers. So if you could move around to facilitate that. I think that that'll be fine. I think we can work that out. Okay. All right, while we are doing this, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Like he said, my name is Jeremy Apodaca. I've known him for almost 35 years. I have I've had a very interesting journey throughout my life. I have a bachelor's degree in theater arts with an acting emphasis, and I specialize in character creation, so being different characters, understanding different characters. I've been in several plays. I worked at Knott's Berry Farm as one of the train bandits, and Knott's Scary Farm as one of the monsters that runs around. So yeah, I got paid to make people cry. So, now over the last 10 years, I've been on a journey into the field of education. So I've been a drama teacher. I've been an acting coach. I've been a behavioral therapist for children with autism. And now I'm pursuing my English credential and master's in education, and I'm currently a 9th grade English teacher in South Los Angeles. So that's, and I run the drama club, yay! So all of that to say, I'm excited for what we're gonna do today, because when it comes to writing, that's the last thing. If you weren't aware, my dad's whole series, the Godsend books, I was the one that came up with that. Yes. Back when I was, thank you. Back when I was 17 years old, I found a contest, and it was to write your own graphic novel. And I was like, okay, I can do this, because I also like to draw, so I illustrate. I was an art teacher for a while as well. I've been all over the place. And so I saw this contest, and I wrote a story, and I started drawing the pictures, but the story was very one-dimensional. The characters didn't really go anywhere. It was very like very Super Mario Brothers. Guy likes girl, girl gets taken, guy saves girl, everything is good. It was one-dimensional, it was weird, and so then I started to try to come up with a different idea. That idea happened to be Godsend, with Alex being able to see the story. So then I came to my dad with it, and I said, hey, we should work on this together. I didn't have time, I was going through a lot of personal stuff, so I let him run with it, and he did more with it than I could ever have imagined. And now we're here. Yay. Okay, so moving on into the presentation itself. So, what it comes down to, let's see. Art itself is all about having an empathetic nature. Art and empathy go hand in hand. Way back in, I think it was 13,000 BC, is where the first recorded cave paintings were found, and they were carbon dated way back then. And you can see it's all about stories. See, they're paintings, they're stories about hunting buffalo, hunting mammoths, and it's all about telling the stories, the human stories, about the experiences of what they were going through in that time. From there, art has evolved and changed, but the core of it has been the human experience. So, yeah, you can see here all of these different examples of just art through the ages, through the decades, through the centuries. And it's all about connecting with an audience. So as a writer, you should write with the end in mind. You should write with your audience in mind. As an actor, you act, you create your characters, you prepare with your audience in mind. So there's a connection there. So, moving on really quick. This here is a picture of me. This is when I was in college. I was playing Laertes in Hamlet. So I got to do the big sword fight scene and everything. And you can see the look on my face. What would you say I'm feeling in this picture? Contempt. Your general anger. This right here is when Laertes comes back from Paris because Hamlet has killed Polonius and Ophelia has lost her mind. And this is Claudius telling Laertes, hey, we should kill Hamlet. So that is the look on my face of accepting this plan, accepting this revenge plan. I had to be empathetic with the character, understand what the character was going through, understand what Shakespeare wanted the character to go through to get that expression on my face. I had to go through that journey. So, yeah, here we go. So, for all art in general, you need to have empathy, believability, and understanding. So, empathy itself, empathy is defined as understanding the feelings and experiences of the people around you. So you experience something one way, but somebody else can experience the same thing, but through their lens, a completely different way. You can say something to somebody and think it's completely innocuous, think it's just what you said, but it can completely and ridiculously offend them because they experience it differently. So understanding empathy is understanding things and feelings from another person's perspective. Now, believability. Believability is important as an artist because you have to, again, connect with your audience. If your audience doesn't believe you, then they're not gonna be committed to continuing on this journey with you. The definition of acting as I learned it is behaving believably under a given set of imaginary circumstances. So, for instance, take Star Wars. Star Wars is completely fantastical. Wouldn't happen, well, it was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, but we accept that. We accept it as an audience because the performances and the effects and everything is believable. So it's called suspending our disbelief. It's the willing suspension of disbelief. So you know what you're watching is not real. However, your brain suspends that disbelief and you accept what you're watching, you accept what you're seeing. And so as an artist, connecting with your audience is breaking through that barrier of believability and understanding and disbelief, having your audience completely suspend their disbelief and believe what they're reading. I'm sure all of you have experienced reading a book and being so engrossed in it that you realize that it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you haven't put your book down because you're engrossed. You're believing what you're reading and you're seeing it in your head and you're experiencing what these characters are experiencing. So, and that leads to the next one is understanding. As an artist, as a writer, as an actor, you have to understand your characters. You have to understand the world that the character exists in. So for instance, when I played Laertes, I had to understand who he was. I had to understand the arc that his character went through over the entire story. In the beginning of Hamlet, if you don't know Hamlet, I'm sure everyone in here knows Hamlet though. In the beginning, he's happy, he's gonna go to school, everything is great, he goes to France, and then everything in Hamlet happens, and then he comes back at the end of the play, and his entire life has fallen apart. So I had to understand and connect to what that journey feels like, what it looks like, and be able to portray it, again, believably. So, we're gonna move on to an activity. This is why I had you move on. So for right here, the activity we've got is I'm gonna have you all in your groups, you're gonna take turns telling a story. Now, the important part of this is that your story has to be about you and at least one other person. So there has to be at least 2 people in the story that you tell. It can be a story from your life, it can be a story that happened yesterday, it can be a story that you just came up with, and that's fine. As long as you tell a story with 2 people. Okay, so I'll give you 2 to 5 minutes. Your story itself should only be 2 to 5 minutes long, so we don't run out of time here. Any questions before we get started? Yes?
Should it be a pet instead of another person?
It can technically, but it would be easier if it was another human. If you think that the pet is more interesting, again, it's your story, Tim. It's your story. Yes?
Does it have to be just two people?
It doesn't have to be just two people, it has to be at least two people. Okay? Any other questions? No? Okay. Take turns, you can choose who's going to go first and tell a story in your group. Okay? We'll check back in like 10 minutes. Okay.
Turn you back.
So let's bring it back together real quick. Okay. So before we move on to the next part of the activity, I wanted to touch on empathy just a little bit more. I was listening into some of your stories. There were a lot of laughs. There was some intense feelings. And there were some just kind of stories, which that happens. Life is a roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to hear. Now, with empathy, what's important with that, especially as an artist, is that it is connecting, again, with your audience, but more importantly, with your characters. So as an actor, and this is where the connection happens, as an actor, you have to be empathetic not only to your audience and how your character is going to affect your audience, but also empathetic to the character themselves. Because as an actor, you're portraying a character. It could be a human, it could be an animal, it could be a voice, you could be playing the moon. You never know what happens. But it is written by a human being. So you are showing empathy to the character itself, the feelings of that character, but also as an actor, you show empathy towards the author who wrote this character, who created this character. You put yourself into this character that they have created, but you still have to pay homage to the source, to the writer. Now, it also gets a little trickier if you're portraying an actual person who actually lived or lives. You've got biopics where people play Elvis. You've got biopics with people who play different historical figures. With that, you have to make sure that you're being empathetic to not only their life, their journey, but also every life that they touched. Because you don't want somebody who knew this person to go see this movie, this film, this play, and have it be a complete disgrace to who that person was. So you have to, it comes down to empathy and understanding the feelings of your audience, of the source, and of your characters. Now, as a writer, empathy is also very important because you're creating an entire world. You're creating an entire world of characters. You have to understand each and every single one of those characters, just like an actor. But usually an actor only has to worry about one, maybe two. You have to worry about every single character that you create in your book. And you have to understand them inside and out and have empathy for what these characters are feeling. You create them, so that comes hand in hand, but you need to make sure that you don't forget about them. And with every scene, with every experience, you have to understand that your hero might have a sword and charge towards the danger and have bravery, but his best friend might not be that brave. He might be terrified. So you have to understand how each person sees a situation differently. And that leads into part 2 of our activity here. So, what you're going to do now is I want you to tell that same story, but from the perspective of the other person in the story. Yes, so that's why you had to have a story with at least 2 people in it. What I want you to do is you can take a second. I'm going to give you more time for this one because this is a little trickier. But I want you to think about your story, think about how you told the story from your perspective, and tell it from the perspective of the other person who was there. Did they see the same thing? Did they experience the same story? Think about the conflict. Think about who that person is as a person, as a human. It all comes down to the human experience. That's what art is all about, is experiencing things on a human level and sharing that experience with your fellow man. So take a second. Like I said, I'm going to put like 20 minutes on the clock because this is an activity. And I want you to think about it and tell that same story from the perspective of the other party. Okay? Any questions? Nope? All right. If you have any questions while you're doing it, raise your hand and I will come and assist you. Move on to our last activity. We're going to do a little acting now. Okay, got our snack break. All right, so what we have here, it's a very rudimentary, very basic acting activity that I use with my students. And it is called, what we call it is ambiguous dialogue. So it is a script with, it's an A and a B, so two people, and it is dialogue that is there but means nothing. It's just there. There's no subject, there's no subtext, there's no before, there's no after. It's just these words. And what we'll do is you're going to partner up. You're going to take one of these scripts. You'll decide who's going to be A, who's going to be B. You'll read it through together, and you can put as much acting into it as you want, as much drama as you want. And then once you read through it once, you'll switch. So then A will be B, B will be A. Do the same thing. Once you do that, we'll move on to the next part of the activity, which is applying emotion to it. Emotion. So we'll pass out the little scripts right now. Once you get your scripts, you can partner up with somebody, and we'll get this activity going. And if you have any questions or if you run into any difficulty, just, again, raise your hand and I will come and help as best I can. This is what I do. Find a place around the room, get up on your feet, and put your bodies into it. Because this is another lesson that I give to my students. For instance, a painter, what is his instrument? Paintbrush, there we go. Let's say, guitarist, what's his instrument? Guitar. An actor, what is his instrument? His body, yeah. So what I want you to do is, with your partners, find a place in the room, get up on your feet, and again, read through both parts together. Then once you feel comfortable with the words, then you can add an emotion to it. You can just draw it from the air, happy, sad. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, like contemptuous or anything like that. Happy, sad, angry, just base emotions, and try to put that into the words as much as you can. Any questions? Nope? All right, get on your feet.
Okay, I turned off the noise in the background.
This next part of the activity, if you would like to trade scripts with another group and try this again with a new script, that's what we brought forward. So you don't just have to do the one. So as of right now, everybody trade with. So if you did script number 1, do script number 2. If you did number 2, do number 3, and so on. Okay. So trade. Same as we did before. Read through it once, just plain. Switch. Read through it again, and then get on your feet, okay? In the last 10 minutes, you do some activities of your own and debriefing and stuff. Before I hand it back over to the other Apodaca, do we have any questions, thoughts, concerns, ideas, anything you want to share about your experience today?
This was very fun.
Well, thank you. That was the goal. That was the goal. Thank you. Yes.
I would like to share just one thought.
Good.
It just reinforces the idea that you never learn anything from talking, only listening.
Very good advice. Very good. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Good. Oh, yes.
We had fun guessing what the actual scenario was behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it's ambiguous dialogue or open dialogue. I was telling somebody else that this is only 4 examples of it. If you Google ambiguous dialogue, you'll get countless examples of these kinds of scenes. The beauty of it is because they're about nothing, they can be about anything. You can put your own story behind it. So feel free if you want to keep these handouts. You can use them in the future for your own activities. You can even take these scripts and write a whole story based on just this little sample dialogue. That's what's great about the open-endedness of it. Okay? Anybody else? Anything else? Good? All right, then I will hand it back over to the other Apodaca.